Hey everybody, it's Lyn from Lyn's Crafts. I've got a share today of, it's a key mini album, or it's a key. It's a Maya Road album that I bought years ago at a resale shop, a junk shop. I think it was like $1.49 or something. And I've done some mixed media techniques to it. Now you can find all of these techniques on the DecoArt blog, and I'll try to remember to put the link in the description box below. These are a lot of Andy Skinner techniques. And if you've never heard of Andy Skinner, he's a big mixed media, grungy, I love his artwork. It's fantastic. I've used DecoArt's products throughout this album, and I'll try to remember to share some of what I've used. Alright, so let's get started. Okay, on this first page, what I did was I put a layer of the DecoArt Media texture paste, and I didn't happen to pull that out. It's basically similar to any other texture paste you might have. It's a paste, it's thick, and it gives texture. So I spread that on, and then I stamped into it after the surface of it was dry, but it was still wet underneath. I stamped into it with this, it's a pot holder actually from the dollar store, and it makes great honeycomb texture. So then I added these resin bees. I'm probably going to say a lot. It's one of those thinking off the top of your head kind of things. So after that was done and dry, then I gave the whole thing a layer of the DecoArt. It's the metallic paint. I'm not sure what it's called at the moment, but in the gold. And I let that dry. And then I went over it with the DecoArt Media Crackle Glaze, which is just a clear glaze that crackles. And it does kind of a crazing kind of a crackle. It doesn't make big crackles, although you can do it where it makes big crackles. But it just gives a nice crazing. And then after you let that set and dry, and it crackles, then I went back over it with some antiquing cream, and I did it in the red one. I'm not sure what that is either. Okay, this is actually the gold, and it's a dazzling metallics, and it's the champagne gold, and it is so sparkly when you first paint it on. It is amazing. I absolutely love this. And it's actually modeling paste instead of texture paste. It's modeling paste. Alright. This is the antiquing cream in the English red oxide. Alright. And then after that dries, the antiquing cream, you wipe it back with a damp cloth. And it will leave it in all of the cracks and crevices. Now, DecoArt, from what I understand, designed these specifically so that you can do that, so that it's not permanent when it's dry, so that it can be wiped back. So if you're worried about the permanence of it on something like this, you probably wouldn't be, but you can give it a coat of a sealer when you're done. Alright, so let's get on with the rest of the album. I'm going to show the front sides first, and then I'll flip it over and share the back sides. Alright, on this one I used the Andy Skinner stencil. Let me see, what's it called? Made to measure. Excuse me. I believe that's the title of it. Made to measure. Alright, I used the steampunk guy and the ruler off of it. On this one, I painted it black first with the black gesso, and then I did the white texture paste through the stencil. Alright, the texture paste, the modeling paste does come in black also. Alright, and then I just did some quinacridone gold in the fluid acrylics over the top of that, and then I did the crackle glaze, and then I did it with the antiquing cream in the English red oxide. Alright, this one I should have added the texture, the modeling paste a little thicker, but I'm still really happy with the way it turned out. Alright, this one was the same process. I did a white gesso and then the modeling paste through the stencil, and this stencil is Segmented Swirls by Americana. Alright, and then I did a Prussian blue in the fluid acrylics, and then the glaze, the crackle glaze. And then I antiqued it with white antiquing cream. And after I did all of that, I went back and hit it with just a little bit of the DecoArt metallic lusters in the Silver Spark and this was a little bit of gold, Inca gold, because I don't have metallic luster in gold yet. Alright, this one was the first one I actually did, and I did the I did the modeling paste, and I just did it really, really thick on the whole thing, and then I painted it with the purple fluid acrylics. I know it doesn't look purple, but I did. Trust me. And then I did some of the quinacridone gold just here and there to give it some depth around the key and the lock. And then I antiqued it with two different colors. I did the English red oxide, and I also did the patina color. And then I did the glaze, the crackle glaze over the top, and then I hit it with just a bit of the metallic luster in the iced espresso. I love that color. Alright. This one was so fun. I never expected it to turn out this well. These are little foil cutouts of skulls. I'm pretty sure they just came from the Dollar Tree. I received them in a rack quite a long time ago. But they're the kind of thing that the Dollar Tree sells at Halloween. And I glued those down with the matte medium. And then I took my glue gun and I just did some radiating shapes. Radiating waves. There you go. Out from the skulls. Alright. And then I took the modeling paste and I stenciled it really thick. Stippled it kind of with a stiff brush. And then I painted the whole thing red after that dried. And then I went over it with just a little bit of a watered down black or a watered down gray. And just around the skull, in the eyes, and the other details. And then I gave it a white, a dry brush of white. Man, I dry brushed white on it. And then I antiqued the whole thing with the gray antiquing cream. Alright. Simple to do, but tough to talk about. Alright, this one, I followed Andy's Mega Crackle technique, and this was so super fun. I first painted a layer of black on the whole thing, and then I used the weathered wood crackle medium, and after that was done, I put the texture crackle on top of that, and that's what gives you these giant mega cracks. So fun. And then after that was dry to on the top to the touch, I stamped in it with a fleur-de-lis stamp, and I realize you cannot tell. Okay, let's try it again. This one I just did black gesso, a little thick, and then I stamped into it after the surface was dry with a star stamp. Then I did the crackle glaze, the antiquing cream, and then I just did a little dry brush of white and then splattered it in white. And this is one of my resin moon faces. Alright, and then this one I also just did the modeling paste this time, and when it was dry on the surface I stamped into it with just a texture stamp. The color is a combination of the quinacridone gold and some black in the fluid acrylics, and I thinned it down a little bit with some water and painted that on, and then I did the crackle glaze, and then I just did the antiquing cream. These are some resin gears that I did with the black gesso and then the quinacridone gold and black mixed together. And then I just hit the edges with some of that iced espresso and metallic luster. Alright, second side. Alright, and this is actually the back cover because I used the front and the back covers. I did the ones that had the most raised detail. These are just 3 of the faces in a combination of polymer clay and resin. Then I did the modeling paste, and I did it really thick, and then I raked through it with one of these DecoArt combs, texture combs. Alright. And I just followed the shape of the faces. And then once that was dry, I did the purple in the fluid acrylics and the turquoise in the fluid acrylics. This was an Americana color. I didn't have a pink in the fluid acrylics. And then all I did was simply do the dry brush in the white, and I liked it so much I didn't do anything else. Froze. Alright. I don't normally like really bright colors, but I liked this. Just the little bit of tone down with the white. I really liked the look. Alright. This one I had so much fun with. I also did it with the modeling paste and raked through it with the texture comb. I wanted it to look like a sky with clouds. And these are some Recollections chipboard pieces that I've had forever. I literally have one butterfly left, and then I just cut out a leaf shape. And after I glued all that down, I painted it with the fluid acrylics once again. And then I did the crackle glaze, and I just whitewashed it with the antiquing cream in the white. I antiqued it with the antiquing cream in the white. Lordy, Lyn. This one I did the Mega Crackle on. Again, I just love it. I did the black, the weathered wood, and then the texture crackle. Let that dry on the surface. Used a button stamp that I have. And then I let it dry. And then I did the fluid acrylic in a different color that I didn't pull out. So I don't know what it's called. Alright, and then after that was dry, these are some buttons, just plain old buttons. And I added some of the texture crackle to those as well. And then after it was dry, I painted them with the fluid acrylics. And then I did the antiquing cream and the English red oxide. And just a little dry brush of the white. This one I did a little differently. I gave the whole thing a coat of burnt orange in the Americana paint. And then I did swirls with my glue gun. The edging on a lot of these is the texture sand paste. And then I did the crackle glaze, and I antiqued it with the patina antiquing cream. And it really looked plain. It really didn't, it just didn't do it for me. So I found a flourish that was part of a stencil, just a chipboard stencil, and this was the punch out from it. So I added that to it in the burnt orange again with the crackle glaze, and then I just rubbed the whole thing with some orange. This is the orange Inca Gold, actually. Alright. Excuse my coughing fit that I had. This was the first technique that I saw of Andy Skinner's. And on this one, I did the modeling paste, and then I stamped into it once it was dry on the surface. And it's actually a butterfly stamp. You can't tell it, but that's what it was. Butterfly stamp. And then I did the crackle glaze, and I did it really thick so that it gave it quite a bit of texture. And then I just did the patina antiquing cream. Oh, I'm sorry. I painted after I did the modeling paste and the stamping, I painted it with the quinacridone gold mixed with some black. Then I did the crackle glaze. Then I did the antiquing. Lordy. Same steps on this one. The only difference is I used the Gears and Cogs stencil by Americana with the modeling paste, and then I painted over it with the quinacridone gold. No, it's a different color. It's a darker color. And then I antique it with the gray antiquing cream. This one I just did foil tape, and it's like you buy at the hardware store to use for duct work. And I just ran it through my embossing machine with this, I have no idea what the name of it is, right off the top of my head, with this Gears and Cogs embossing folder. And then I sprayed it with the DecoArt Media Mister in the black. And I was really impressed with how well this stuck to the foil. It really adhered really well. And then I just antiqued it with the patina antiquing cream. And then I did a little sandpaper and sanded it back so some of the foil showed through. In hindsight, I should have run the foil tape lengthwise. Although the embossing folder is only yay big, I could have flipped the tape around and embossed it on both ends. Alright, last but not least, hooray. On this one, I did, I base coated it with just gesso. And then I did the texture crackle up here and the sand paste down here. This is just a resin sand dollar that I did. Up here, I stamped into the texture paste. And down here with my palette knife, I did streaks in the sand paste to give it that beach look. And then I did fluid acrylics on the coloring, did a dry brush of white, and that's all I did to this one. Alright. Hooray. This was such fun, and the reason I wanted to share it with you is because these are some of the techniques that I'll be using on some of the upcoming mixed media projects that I've got. I've got a few things in mind. I still will be doing polymer clay. I still will be doing some resin. But I used to do a lot more mixed media on my channel than I do now. So I would like to bring that back in. So be watching. I shall holler at y'all later. Bye now.